When you want an award-winning picture, you shoot and reshoot until you have something resembling several other movies because people like it and call it a day. And podcasts are just like this. Do what popular shows are doing, and eventually you'll get an audience. So go to patreon.com/evacstation. For less than the cost of changing the ending of your film, you can support our show. The money will go to a recording studio, live streams, a D&D spin-off podcast, a true crime podcast, and a live tour in 2020, and more blatant lies before a bigger studio buys us out of our misery. Again, that's patreon.com/evacstation. And let's run that theme song one more time. Welcome to the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast that has twice covered the story of the Phoenix Saga. And it'll happen again. You can't just keep that girl down. I'm Aaron J. Wolsescarine, and I am joined by my brotherhood of podcasters. With me today, I have Ryan Magnitors.
I can smell your adamantium from a mile away.
That makes me very uncomfortable. Also with us today, I have Aaron Shadow Casey.
I disappear so much I wasn't even in the film.
Damn! Oh no! Oh, poor Shadow Cat.
And special guest with us this week is Troy Storm.
What's brewing? I make the weather change all day.
Yeah,
it's good shit.
Keep it nice and sunny out there for some of us.
So you're the one sending all the tornadoes to Iowa. Take them back.
Iowa. Yep, Oklahoma. It's boring. You got to spice it up sometimes.
Damn. Nothing else happens out in Iowa, guys. Come on.
Oh,
Exactly.
come
Just
on.
corn. All the corn.
Sometimes you get floods. It's fine.
Lots of floods.
Mm-hmm. And an intro song this week, because we've been doing something different every episode this season. I want to apologize in advance before I get to this one. I have received one complaint that our intro songs are a little too long, just a little bit, and I think I let that get away from me in the X-Men season because it's the X-Men theme and I love it too much. So going forward, they will be much shorter because that's going to be normal. But it's the X-Men theme. I have to play the whole thing. It's so damn good. This week's intro theme was X-Men theme a cappella by the Warp Zone.
Yes.
It's really good. It's really good. So
It's
Ryan,
really cool, guys.
So Ryan, I think you've actually heard all the theme songs. Of all the ones we've done, which is your personal favorite?
God damn. You know, like, I really like a lot of them, but being a singer, the acapella one's kind of near and dear to my heart. Because I've done acapella shit like that, in real life. So yeah, I'd have to pick this one. This one just put a smile on my face that has yet to leave.
Absolutely. For me, it's a tough one because I like the orchestral one we did a few episodes back, but honestly,
There's an orchestral one?
Yep.
Yes, please.
on the Days of Future Past episode, yes. But my personal favorite is the one I didn't expect to find, which is the jazz remix on First Class. That one's fucking
The
great.
jazz remix?
There's a
good
jazz
shit.
remix. It's so good.
What?
I need to listen to all these now.
They're really good.
Jazzed it up?
They're hype.
We have to give a shout out to our fearless leader who found all of these renditions because he's found some real gems for you guys.
I was
Right?
so disappointed though I couldn't find a polka version. I scoured the internet and I couldn't find it.
Polka.
Reach out to Weird Al Yankovic. He might do it.
He'd be my only hope. And if you want to reach out to us for any weird stuff like that, or if you just want to chat with us, tell us your favorite X-Men movie, X-Men character, song, or just say, hey man, I'm finally glad that they're getting bought out by Disney. You can go to see us on Patreon. You can also go to Twitter or Tumblr. You can also leave comments down below on our various platforms of choice, including YouTube, Peepa, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn, and Podcast Addict. If you want to reach out to us directly, there's only one place you can do that. Ryan, where can they go to get to us directly?
That is holy shit. A Phoenix Saga in Space movie? What? Excuse me. That is evacstation at gmail.com.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. That sounds about right.
Sorry, I had to clear my throat there.
As always with this show, we do a quick segment of what you're watching. We got a few of us here today, so we're going to try to keep it a little breezy here. Everyone, what have y'all been watching? Troy, Aaron, one of you guys want to go first as our guests?
I guess I'll go first. I just watched something pretty boring on HBO called Chernobyl. Don't ask me how.
Critically acclaimed miniseries. That's fucking boring.
Don't ask me how, but I just watched it. It was no action, but it was very interesting to watch how a country would rather lie instead of help people.
Oh, you mean like
Or they
America?
would rather cover up everything. Yeah,
Oh,
Oh.
Shots fired! Boom!
just
like
hey, there's-
less than 10 minutes in, like, yeah, man, fuck them.
fuck you, America. It was an interesting series, man. Nuclear poison, and they're like, nah, it's okay. Just go clear the roof off. You won't be sick. It's just like, nah, it's okay. Like, people are asking questions. They're like, nah, nothing happened. Just a little fire. Meanwhile, everybody's being poisoned.
Yeah, it reminds me of this movie called Chernobyl Diaries, which also was kind of boring, but it was like this horror movie where these kids go to the Chernobyl site, and after it's happened, of course, and they like explore it and they see weird shit. But the shit's not that weird, and people just kind of died in dumb ways, and it's like, oh, this could have been really cool, but like,
They messed it up.
y'all kind of just like slept on this idea, didn't you?
Yeah, didn't
Yeah.
take it serious.
Yeah, I feel you. Aaron, how about you?
I think in preparation for watching Dark Phoenix, I wanted to set the bar low, so I finally watched Justice League and Aquaman.
Damn!
Damn! Yo!
To be fair, actually, I didn't hate Justice League as much as I thought, and Aquaman was pretty enjoyable. I have my own critiques of it, but I'm glad I finally saw them.
Well, if you want to compare your critiques to our critiques, we have some lovely podcasts where we talked about Justice League and Aquaman, and
I need to listen to those. I immediately afterwards, I watched Cinema Sins and
Ooh.
also How It Should Have Ended for both of those.
ooh,
I was just like, I gotta see it. So yeah, I
actually,
decided to set my expectations low.
actually, I just remembered the
You
gimmick.
have to.
I just remembered the gimmick we did for the Justice League podcast. You have to watch it now. It's actually
Yeah.
one of my favorite ones I did.
Did I do? I can't remember. Did I do the podcast with you guys when you went through the Last Stand Phoenix saga?
No,
The original? The
Nah,
original?
you
missed
X-Men
it.
over there? Yeah, I think
Okay. Let me just say the reason why I wanted to set the bar low is because seeing that Phoenix version literally destroyed my soul. So I had to be prepared.
we can hit up on that.
She's like, I won't be hurt again. I won't be hurt again.
I won't be hurt again. No.
I was gonna say
I
we
don't
could.
trust you anymore.
We can hit up on talking Last Stand a little bit before we get in too deep into it, because I know that some of us weren't here for that podcast, and I know that that will have a lot of ties to this one a bit in terms of covering kind of similar stories, sort of.
Frickin' rage quit, man. Just rage quit.
Damn.
Yeah.
No mercy for
No
Last
mercy.
Stand from
No
from
mercy.
our guests.
I spit on it. Yeah.
The kindly bird lady spits on your movie.
I
Singer.
spit
Oh
on
God.
Ryan, what have you been spitting on or watching this week?
Oh, well, I picked something good to watch. Actually, so I actually took a look at Amazon Prime's original series, Good Omens.
I want to see that. Don't do spoilers. I still
It's
need to
no
watch it.
spoilers, no spoilers. It is based, of course, on the book of the same title, written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. It's got David Tennant and Michael Sheen in it as the titular characters, and oh my god, it's so much fun. It's like as soon as you hear the narrator, which like small spoiler because it's revealed in like the first 30 seconds of the show. The narrator is the voice of God.
Yes.
But like from the beginning of the narration, you can tell it has that Terry Pratchett feel. It has that Neil Gaiman feel. It's just remarkably kooky and funny. It's so amazingly British, and it's just so much fun. It's only 6 episodes. If you guys have time and you just really want something that takes a really clever humorous spin on the apocalypse, then I would highly recommend giving this a go.
I'm so excited to watch it. I really want to. For some reason, I ended up watching Gun Gale Online Alternative this weekend, and I have no freaking idea why I subjected myself to it.
Well, I'll keep mine very quick. So the past week, I actually moved to a new house. So I haven't. So
Homeowner.
Yeah. So I haven't gotten too much watched, but I did finish wrapping up Flash season 5, and we actually started like an episode or 2 of Supergirl season 4. So
Nice.
yeah, getting through those. Once we're done with the CW shows, I don't know what we're gonna do. I do know that I want to start some other stuff, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, no, watch those. Flash season 5 was okay. Not my favorite, but certainly not my least favorite.
Who was the villain on season 5?
Season 5, so Thinker was 4, so 5 was... I guess technically it was Thawne, but I think it was more...
oh, yeah, okay, that's the
Cicada.
season that I missed. Yeah, that's I'd ended on season 4. I haven't gotten to watch season 5 yet. That was with Nora, when her season really got to shine.
Yeah, Nora wasn't bad, but I don't think she was my favorite character this season. I don't like how it ends with certain characters, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. I mean, if you watch the news on who's leaving the show, you'll kind of know who I'm talking about. But certain things, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's going to make the next season less fun. But we'll see. We'll see.
I've tried to avoid it, but I definitely want to take a stab at it. So I'll definitely give it a look.
Yep. And like I said, I moved, new house, still getting everything settled in, and of course, this weekend coming up, we have a family reunion, so won't get much chance. I won't get much chance to settle in before that. So,
no rest for the wicked.
Nah, but I mowed our lawn for the first time yesterday. Good stuff. Getting stuff hung up on the walls. So we had a weird power issue the other day.
Oof.
So
please don't tell me fire was involved.
No fire. It's something simple and dumb that we didn't realize because we never dealt with it before. And so we had to call in my dad to help out, and he's like, oh, this is very simple, and fixed it. But basically, the nightlight we had plugged in the bathroom was not on. Like, the outlet didn't seem like it was working. And we moved to another room, and sure enough, the outlet was the problem. So we're like, okay, so something's up with this outlet. Any idea what's going on? So we decided to hit the reset button on the outlet because it's a GFCI outlet. Yeah, you hit the reset button, it should fix it. Knocks out power to 3 rooms.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
No.
And we're like, oh, fuck, how'd that happen? So we go downstairs, we turn it back on, or at least we turn that particular breaker back on, but nothing comes back on. And we're like, that doesn't seem right. So we go to bed because it's like 10:30, and like, well, we have no idea what to do. We have to get to work tomorrow. Let's not mess with anything else because we don't want to turn power off in any other rooms that we actually need it in. So we figured we'd come back to it the next day. So we look at it, and still no idea what we're doing. So Dad comes over at some point in the afternoon, and he pokes all the buttons and finds that one of them is like also loose, like not like broken loose, but like it also got triggered or tripped when the other breaker got tripped. And so he flips that off, and then turns it back on, and sure enough, everything turns back on.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, having never messed that before, I never would have thought of that.
Welcome to owning a house.
This will be a long and arduous journey. I think I might just do like I don't know if I'm gonna do like a mini series on the YouTube channel just of me chronicling the events because I have a fucking story to tell with internet getting that set up here too. By God, that was a nightmare. Keeping it short and brief, I fought for 2 days with our local provider on how to get on getting that installed. Because I scheduled it for the 7th, and they didn't get installed until, like, late on the 8th.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't get any calls to advise me that, oh, hey, we were going to have you as an overflow order for tomorrow. Just no indication of that whatsoever, so I'm sitting around my house all day the 7th waiting for them to show up, and no idea they're not coming. So I fucking fought to get my $99 installment fee revoked, because I'm like, I am not paying for this if you guys are going to mess up this bunch. And sure enough, I got a call earlier, yesterday actually, that's saying, hey, we saw there was a note for sending you a Visa card. We're going to just put a $99 credit on your account. I'm like, fuck yeah, you are. So yeah, fun stories. I'll have more of those as life goes on, I'm sure. But speaking of going on, though, let's get on to our film for the evening. This week's film is X-Men Dark Phoenix, or just Dark Phoenix, depending on what part of the world you're in, because I think some places actually do have it open with the title of X-Men, which is interesting. This was released in 2019, and it was written by Simon Kinberg, who has written previous films for the X-Men series. I'm looking at box office numbers right now because I forgot to write those down again like a jackass. Let's see here real quick. X-Men. Wow, Box Office Mojo. It's not even the top search results here. What's going on? Dark.
Wait,
Phoenix.
what other X-Men movie did he do?
He wrote... Actually, I think he's written all of the New Kids movies, like the, from First Class onward. I think he had a hand in First Class, but he definitely was on Days of Future Past and Apocalypse.
Okay, fair.
Okay, so I have the numbers now. Its opening weekend numbers, or current numbers as of the time of recording, are 35,312,000 domestic and 139 million worldwide. That is not going to tell me the production budget, because I'm sure they don't want that information getting out with such low numbers.
Right? That's pretty bad.
For opening weekend superhero movies, yeah, especially considering how much better Marvel did with Captain Marvel and Endgame not more than a few months ago.
Yeah, I mean, but how do you follow Endgame up with this? I mean, like, everybody's hyped over Endgame and everything that happened with that, so I'm not surprised this one suffered.
Honestly, I agree with what I've seen from many articles. The fact that James Cameron's movie bumped this back from February to June, that's probably what killed this movie the hardest, is that just being released at a much later date. Had it been before the other big superhero movies, it might have gotten a lot better reception, because there's far less to compare it to.
Exactly.
That's right.
The film does include the following people: Alexandra Shipp, Cody Smith-McPhee, Ty Sheridan, Evan Peters for all of 5 minutes, Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, Nicholas Hoult, Jennifer Lawrence for all of 5 minutes, Jessica Chastain, and rising from the ashes is none other than Sophie Turner. I swear I've made that joke before. No,
it's almost like deja vu.
Almost. I wonder if I said that about another actress in another movie. Oh well, you have to listen to that podcast to find out. No awards for this movie. Ryan, I gave you some fun facts this week. Oh boy.
I do see the fun facts here. So first and foremost, we've got to talk about the departure of Matthew Vaughn, who left after X-Men First Class, which was a fucking phenomenal movie. Mm-hmm. Now, at first, we believed his leaving the franchise was due to taking on the directing role in Kingsman: Secret Service. However, it was revealed recently that Vaughn planned on directing an X-Men trilogy, ending with Days of Future Past, rather than it being the second movie. Fox, however, insisted that the next film be Days of Future Past after First Class. This creative difference led to Vaughn actually leaving the franchise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Vaughn's trilogy would have included a middle film in which a younger Wolverine would have joined the team in the 70s and allowed the audience to actually get to know the new team better. And his desire for Days of Future Past was going to be at the end, because he felt that that was a bigger idea to more fit a finale of the ending of that trilogy.
he wasn't wrong.
Totally
would've
agree.
made more sense.
That would have
Right.
been good.
Pacing. I mean, like I personally feel like we really got to know the X-Men, like the younger class of the X-Men in this particular movie, which is a bad feeling to get at the end of your series, but I'll save that for after for the discussion.
Mhm.
Anyway, next fun fact. The film takes place in 1992. I was 2 years old. That's
too.
actually the year that X-Men comics were relaunched with new costume designs and a new cartoon show, X-Men: The Animated Series, which is a lovely, lovely nod to all the true believers out there who know that shit.
Fucking love that show.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
fantastic show. Like,
Great show.
yeah, I spent several days like skipping school and just going to watch it. I mean, next we have a final fun fact here. Mystique and Magneto were not originally intended to appear, as Jennifer Lawrence implied in several interviews that she was done playing the character Mystique, though she said in an interview that she had a change of heart as she didn't want fans to be confused if her character got the Chuck Cunningham syndrome treatment.
Okay, I'm gonna play dumb here. If I play dumb, I mean be dumb. I don't know what that syndrome reference means.
What the fuck is that? No, you put it in here.
Either.
I'm quoting the sites here, man.
Like, okay, so the Chuck Cunningham syndrome.
Let's look it up. Chuck Cunningham. Here we go. Oh, a Happy Days reference. Okay.
Oh, he just disappeared. They just got rid of him. No word.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
That's crazy. Just got rid of a character and didn't even explain it.
I mean, to be fair, that happens in a lot of shows, and it's usually just ignored.
And in books, it's just like, oops.
I mean,
oops.
remember that one time Poochie was taken out of the show? Everyone should be asking, "Hey, where's Poochie?
Where's Poochie?
Why isn't Poochie here? I want to watch Poochie."
He had to save his home planet.
Oh, then he died along the way. That's right.
His people needed him.
Yeah. I can't believe you remember that. Oh, Poochie.
Anyway, let's get on to initial thoughts of this movie here real quick. I'll pop in. Well, actually, no, we'll have the guests go first. Who would like to give just a brief, like, 2-sentence, like, sum up of your thoughts in this film before we jump into synopsis?
I'll let Aaron take this one because I went first last time.
I didn't hate it. It wasn't. It was a lot better than X-Men Last Stand. So.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I read the reviews, watched a couple YouTube videos before I went to go see it, and I was expecting it to be just awful, and then I watched it and I was like, well, it was awful as a comic book movie, but as a movie, it was decent. Like, if I never knew anything about X-Men, I would enjoy this movie.
Fair. I'll pop in real quick. It's far from the finale this franchise probably should have had, but then I remember, oh wait, Logan's a movie we could just say is the finale.
Right.
But considering this film, though, the reviews are a little harsher than I would have been to it, and I do agree that this is better than Last Stand on most grounds. I think Last Stand has more bigger, crazier set pieces going on, but it detracts from the Phoenix storyline, which this one focuses on almost exclusively. So it's got its pros and cons. I think overall it's far from the worst, but also very far from the best. It's kind of in the middle for me almost.
Very fair. So ending that off, this I think I'm on board with a lot of you guys. This movie was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I went in with a very, very low bar and was actually pleasantly surprised. I think this movie showed a lot of guts in some of the creative decisions that they decided to make, which I applauded because, I mean, if this is going to be your last X-Men film by Fox, you might as well just swing for the fences. And I think that some of those choices really, really paid off. I think a lot of the negative press that this movie gets is tied directly to the poor showing of its predecessors, and I think this movie suffers for that. It's not the best movie, but I think it's better than a lot of people are giving it credit for, and that kind of makes me sad. But I enjoyed watching it.
Well, with that, let's get into a synopsis here because, boy, did I have a fun time putting this together.
I can tell.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. Our film stars a young female character with untapped power waiting to be unleashed, but it has been hidden away by a male authority figure to protect our lead. Events unfold in which the female character's powers are slowly unleashed, making them kind of unstable and certainly uncontrollable to said male authority figure. Shape-shifting aliens also wrinkle into the plot a bit, as they want to use the Superwoman for their potentially nefarious plans. As things hit a climax, Superwoman goes from an uncontrollable force to a force for good in the final act, using her apparently cosmic given powers by channeling emotions she had long since suppressed to defeat the forces of evil. I mean, it sounds a lot like Carrie, if you know what I mean. Oh, wait, I mean Captain Marvel. So what's different here? Well, the X-Nerds get called up by the president to go into space to save the astronauts from another cloud.
Galactus?
Damn clouds! No one is safe. The mission goes great, except Jean almost dies, and not really because she's the main character of this film. And the cloud bonds with her, forming some kind of dark cloud, you might say. They return to Earth, where Jean kind of has memories return, which causes her to kind of go kind of nuts and return to her childhood home, where her father waits for her. Charles had told her that he was dead, but that was a lie because she'd always lie to protect her children. That's like a rule or something. Understandably, Jean snaps. She takes out 2 X-Men with higher profile actors who need to jump ship before this sinks into the ocean that is the acquisition. Jean then fucks off to not Asteroid M to drag Magneto into this movie one more time, giving him one more motive for revenge. This time, Beast wants to help kill Jean because, obviously, a woman can't have that much power, am I right? Meanwhile, the Not Skrulls are taking over various people and getting close to Jean in hopes of directing her power to their whims. They are bulletproof when it's convenient for tension and have all the strength and speed necessary to be challenging enough to take out humans, but struggle with mutants. Charles leads the X-Men he has left to intercept Magneto's newest revenge-driven motive, and both end up captured by humans after one of the Not Skrulls drains off Jean's Phoenix Force. They are put on a train to go someplace unspecified, who cares? The Not Skrulls attack the train, having forgotten their tickets, and they wipe out the humans. The mutants get freed and a modestly cool train fight happens. But the mutants are outclassed by the super Not Skrull woman, and it's up to Jean to save them all with what she has left of the Phoenix Force. CGI, emotions, reshoots, and boom, Jean saves the day and becomes the Phoenix. Wait, didn't she do that at the end of Apocalypse? Bah, who cares? It's Disney's problem now.
Damn.
You know, that makes me realize just how damn short the movie was. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much all that happens.
It's surprisingly short when you go back over and like, oh wait, not a lot happens.
Yeah.
I think they do a good job of like padding out the time and kind of elongating those like really traumatic moments. But yeah, you're right. There isn't a whole bunch of substance to this movie.
Not
and
like
it starts
Endgame.
off really quick too, doesn't it? Like the film starts up and already they're like, bam, getting called into space. I'm like, whoa, wait, what?
Right.
Like shit. All right.
You know, other movies would have built up to this over the course of like 40 minutes.
Didn't they start out with the car
appreciate
crash though?
What's that?
Didn't they start out with the car crash?
I mean, yeah, they had the flashback, but I mean, they still get to space. Damn, quick.
Pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Super
oh
fast.
hey, this ship isn't ready for space, but we're gonna put it into space anyway, lol.
And it works.
Did that ever
Yeah.
stop America before? No, damn it, we beat the Russians to the moon after all.
I mean, they had to go there to protect Charles's ego. I mean, they had to do that to save the astronaut.
Yeah, when Charles said, "Hey, go back in there and save the captain," I'd be like, "Nah, we gone. We're gone."
Like, nah, dude.
Nah,
No, that's fine. Jean can do this, can't she? Can't she, Jean?
Hey, park this. Get out of here.
Sure.
Charles, you come up here and float.
you don't need to stand in
I'm wondering
Space?
why.
Exactly. Why are you not up here? Hey,
I'm wondering why Nightcrawler didn't just keep his tail around Jean's leg, so when he's ready to teleport, boom, we're done. We can get out of here.
Right?
Well, like his tail isn't that long. Like he went
Well, no, but drag her
into the place so that he could save the captain. Remember?
Well, no, but I'm saying drag her along with you.
Man, I don't know. It wouldn't have made sense for the movie so that she could become a phoenix.
I know. I just want to point it out. So let's dive into this, guys. So before I get any questions, does anyone have any major thoughts or complaints they want to get out of the way now, and then we jump into questions, or questions first?
Actually, I just want to make a comment in that I totally forgot. I should have watched the movies again before I saw this. I totally forgot that Nightcrawler had even been brought in as a character because
girl.
I know I love Nightcrawler. Don't get me. I love Nightcrawler, but seriously, with this X-Men franchise in general, we went from the first movie where we get introduced to all these new characters to the second movie where they have killed off most of the characters to the third movie where we get introduced to a bunch of new characters. Granted, we know them from the original series, but still, then we go to this movie. It's like we did not have time to get to know everybody.
Yes.
That's my biggest complaint right now.
Yeah. Matthew
It's
Vaughn
almost like the original director had a plan for properly pacing the movies like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Almost.
Not a complaint for me, but my favorite part of the movie was when she made Charles walk up the stairs.
That was
crazy.
Hilarious.
So messed up.
I was like, oh my goodness, look at his ankle.
So messed up.
I was like,
You can do anything you put your mind to, Gene.
Yeah.
Oh
man, I was laughing.
What are you doing?
I was like, wow.
God, this is gross.
She is pissed. I was like, she is mad.
I couldn't look at the screen for a good chunk of that because I'm like, oh man, his legs are bending in ways I don't want to see.
I know, right? At least she didn't explode him this time.
Yeah.
There is that.
You're right.
So I'm gonna go out and say something really positive about this.
Okay.
I really like it's gonna be a recurring note that we've said on all of these, but I love James McAvoy's portrayal of Charles Xavier. And the reason why is because in this movie, I could clearly see the arrogance behind his thing. In every past iteration, or in Last Stand, when he and even in this movie, when he makes the justification, look, she came in here, she was a really troubled girl, she had a lot of traumatic shit that was happening to her, so I segmented that from her mind to keep her from feeling all of that pain because that's too much shit for a little girl to deal with. There's a large portion of my mind that says, yeah, that makes sense. I completely understand why you did that. And so a lot of Charles' rationalization shines through in the story, but this movie, he kind of goes out of his way to seem more arrogant, and he never loses that. He never loses the intent of doing good, but the arrogance shines through better. And I actually think this is one moment where James McAvoy's portrayal of Charles Xavier actually goes beyond Patrick Stewart's.
Yeah,
I would agree with you with that, and it's consistent through all the films. You see his arrogance in all the films, but at least in this one, you also see he ends up getting humbled. And you really notice that at the end of the movie where Beast is actually taking over as professor and he stepped back. I thought that was really cool that they did that.
Yeah, to be quite honest, his retirement shocked the hell out of me at the end because I didn't expect it. And because over the course of the movie, you see him recognize the error of his ways. You see him look his arrogance dead in the face, but you also see that the love and care that he had, it never left. It was just kind of clouded, and that's actually what pulls Jean at the end. Is in spite of all the shit, at the end of the day, when he made the decision, he made it to protect Jean rather than for his own self-aggrandizement. and that's why she actually turns at the end.
Exactly.
So I love that.
I love that.
I love that they keep that through line. It's a hard scale to balance, being like really, really altruistic, but also being really, really arrogant. And I think he pulled it in this one. I think he really pulled it.
He did an amazing job with it, and like the dichotomy between what happened in Last Stand versus what happened in Dark Phoenix, where she faces him, she confronts him with the fact that you controlled my mind, you mess with my mind, you mess with my memories. But in Last Stand, you don't have the sympathy, the sympathetic view of it as you do in Dark Phoenix. You see more, like what you said, why he did it to protect her, and it means more. And instead of going psycho and bursting him into a gajillion pieces, she actually turns. And it was cool to see the difference there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that one. I'll say as much. Going into this, I was a little on the fence with the portrayal of Charles Xavier, but thinking about it more, I do think that McAvoy really handled it pretty well, and I think it just is a testament to his acting. I've not seen him in a role I hated. Certainly, he's been in movies that were not great, sure, but I don't think I've ever seen a role he's done where he's given any less than his best performance.
He's just amazing. Like, shout out to James McAvoy.
God, not to talk shit of anyone else in the movie, but he does bring his A game here for sure.
He does. In all honesty, like when they inevitably reboot the X-Men franchise in like 5 or 6 years in the MCU, like it'll be good to see a fresh take and like have the MCU actually take like a really, really good look at it and give us a really fresh movie. But the one thing it will be less for is that it won't have James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender in it.
Agreed.
And what's funny too, remember when First Class was first announced, Ryan? And everyone's like, why is James McAvoy playing Xavier? He's not bald. He doesn't look like Xavier. What's all this about? And like, I feel like the expectations were low for him when the movie was first announced, but looking back at it now, he might have been the definitive Xavier without a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call him the definitive Xavier, like, from the very beginning, because he wasn't amazingly well known when he got that role. He's had some great roles, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he spent much time in the mainstream eye. But I think ever since then, ever since he was able to show his stuff in First Class, and then he had a bunch of other roles, and he had Split and Glass. Like I think the public, the major, like the mainstream eye of the public, really kind of shifted.
Well, no, but I mean,
it's the spotlight there.
But I mean, it's kind of like it'd be kind of like getting a new actor in to play Joker after Jack Nicholson. Heath Ledger, for example. Not a lot of people knew who he was. Not a lot of people were familiar with what he'd done before, and so there was a lot of expectations of him going into the role. Then he comes out and it's like, oh, this is the fucking best Joker we've ever had. I kind of feel like James McAvoy went through a very similar kind of like fan reaction when he was first announced, and I think we can look back on it now and say, nope, he made that role what it was and did probably the best anyone could have done with it.
Yeah. I mean, hindsight is definitely 20/20. I mean, like going into it, like originally, you couldn't really bet on him because you didn't know his body of work or how he would take to comic book movie stuff. But yeah, looking back, he definitely made the role his own in a way that both paid homage to the character portrayals that had come before him, and also really like forged a new identity for the character as well.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree with you.
So I'm gonna hit my first question here in this list because I got a good few of these. One of them we already kind of covered with Xavier there, but number one. So when did Phoenix actually first become a part of Jean? I'm a little confused by this. So here's my little train of thought here, because we see her with the Phoenix aura at the end of Apocalypse, and then we see a flashback that kind of hints the Phoenix personality is already in her mind as a child, kind of like we did in Last Stand. And then we get this like cosmic energy that like joins Jean in space when she's up in the shuttle. And this is all ignoring everything that may happen in The Last Stand some decades from now. So, like, when did Phoenix and Jean become a thing?
I have like a whole ass like thesis on this, so y'all go first.
Let's hear it.
Y'all, no, I don't want to hog the spotlight. Y'all go first, and I'll go at the end.
I think, if you don't mind me going, I think in the scope of this this current franchise of X-Men, so I think I remember there was a quote or something in the movie that not Skrull lady said like the Phoenix Force had been like, or the Force had been like searching for her, and it's very possible that that energy might have been reaching out to Jane for since she was a child, and that's why she was starting to get like those strong strong telepathic reactions, which she ended up learning to develop. Then during Apocalypse, she's in a mind space, basically, fighting Apocalypse against Xavier. That could have been the Phoenix Force coming in, that's starting to be like, okay, I'm sensing where she is, I'm sensing where this energy is. And that could have started to develop around her, which kind of made her like a beacon of like, okay, this is where she is. And then all of a sudden the cosmic force is above Earth, and Jean goes out and it goes to her. So it could have been across the galaxy, but it could have been slowly sensing her over the years, and that's why it came out of nowhere and appeared on Earth, or appeared over Earth. So that's what I'm thinking may have happened. It's Cosmic Force and Jean separate. They become fully Phoenix once the Cosmic Force completely enters her.
That's not a bad theory. I can dig it.
I like that. I like
That's
that.
a deep theory.
All right, Troy, Aaron, you guys have thoughts on this one?
I'll let Aaron go.
Okay, so I discussed this with my boys on the during game night, because I brought it up to them. I'm like, okay, so this is what happens. It was Phoenix in the movie, because none of them saw it. They didn't want to see it. So I explained it to them, and the only theory that any of us could really use to make sense of it was that the Phoenix Force exists outside the bounds of time, and thus kind of can be with Jean whenever it needs to be. And I think it's kind of just a bullshit writing excuse, but at the same time, it's like, it kind of works for what they're trying to do without being too like specific. So I could go with it, but I'm not married to the idea.
I mean, we could go with the theory of the Game of Thrones writers of, we kind of forgot how the Phoenix Force works.
Oh, that salt is real.
Oh, so much salt. I'm the fucking Dead Sea right now. Thank you.
Damn.
Well, Ryan,
I don't see.
oh, sorry, Troy.
Oh, my bad. I really don't know with this movie. It threw me off with the Phoenix Force being in space at this time line. It really, and she kind of called to it and it came to. I know it just threw me for a loop. Like I really don't have an answer for it, because, like I said, comic book wise, when I watched this movie, I was confused the entire time. I didn't.
Yeah.
It was very difficult to follow along, and then I'm piecing back what happened in the last movie I watched. I'm like, this doesn't really match up. And I'm watching the movie. It was just very hard comic wise to digest and to really understand and enjoy it. Like I took my mom and my family, and they like sat there and loved the movie because they don't know nothing about the comics.
Right.
And the whole time I left, and I was like, it was good, but I'm just confused. Like I left confused, and they weren't confused at all. And they don't watch comics, so it didn't make any sense how they didn't watch any of the movies before this, or any of the X-Men ever before, and they weren't confused. They understood everything, and I left, and I was like, I have so many questions. I don't. And it's usually always the other way around.
Sometimes they say ignorance is bliss.
Right. Right.
In this case, it's not, because Troy was ignorant and he needed those questions answered.
No, I mean, everyone else is ignorant about the deep lore of X-Men, and it's like, oh, we don't need to know about it because
That's
we
fair.
just enjoy the movie.
You know, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Okay, so in regard, in regards to this, my answer is gonna also kind of go into your next question about the Phoenix portrayal in general in this movie as opposed to Last Stand.
Okay. Good segue.
I have a feeling that when Apocalypse came out, they had an inkling that they were gonna do a similar thing to Last Stand, where the Phoenix Force is actually just the repressed part of Jean's psyche and power. And so that's actually what Apocalypse read, because as she was like stressed to the brink, she started tapping into the unconscious power and was able to overpower him. I think that's how they thought they were going to go when they made Apocalypse. And then when they actually sat down to write it, the Fox execs were like, fuck it, just do it in space. And it's like, oh shit, really? Sure, okay, sure, cool. Because unless Apocalypse all of a sudden became prophetic and could see the future, I'm not so sure why he should know that eventually she's going to be bound by this cosmic force and become like the most powerful thing in the galaxy. That being said, I do appreciate the cojones that it took to actually try to put together a cosmic force version of the Phoenix, because I have always been a proponent of the Phoenix with adaptation in The Last Stand, because short of introducing aliens and vast galactic empires and cosmic forces, there's no real way to do the Phoenix story right, except making it that Jean just wasn't a mega-level mutant by birth, and Charles just fucked over her power to keep her less powerful from, like, a young child. I thought that adaptation made sense, and I was okay with it. That being said, I think this is much, much better, because they gave the like cosmic portions of the story as a cursory gloss over as possible. They're like, there are aliens. You don't need to know their names. There are aliens. There is a cosmic force. Don't look too deep into it. Just know that it bound to Jean. And instead of giving her a dark alter ego, or cancer, instead of giving her a split personality with superpowers, it said, hey, Jean's a tragic character regardless. We're going to have it tap into those repressed memories, and Jean's going to react like a normal person reacts when deep trauma comes out, except she's now got cosmic oomph behind that. Yeah. And I applaud that. I honestly applaud that, because it doesn't feel like the Jean that we've known for years just all of a sudden became this brand new person. It's this character who's been kind of established by now in the movies, somewhat established, follows a natural progression where A, she has a lot more power, and B, her entire life is kind of revealed to be a lie. So all of the crazy shit that happens to her makes a lot more sense because it's rooted in her character. It's not somebody different is coming out of her. It's she's reacting to trauma while also having cosmic powers.
I would like to weigh in.
Exactly, and she's...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was saying I'd like to weigh in real quick. So going back to what you were saying about the first question, and I just want to tie it off real quick about
Please.
the whole not about having going one way then going the other after Apocalypse came out and everything.
The writers forgot.
Yes.
Or the writers got permission to actually do something crazy, and they said, "Yeah, fuck it, let's go."
I honestly do think they wrote it and shot it one way, and then because we've heard for the past year now all the reshoots taking place and driving the cost of this movie up, I honestly think that some of the stuff we see in this film just was left in the film maybe by accident as a relic of what the original film was. And so, with all the reshoots and stuff, they kind of lost track of what everything was. And so, the split personality and the repressed stuff versus the space stuff, it kind of clashes because they had two different visions of how it could have gone, and they just forgot to take out the stuff that doesn't line up with what they ended up with. So, I think it all comes in like that. I think it makes sense.
Mhm.
So question for you on that note then. What do you think in this movie clashes? Because I felt like the through line for this movie was pretty solid, but it hits a hiccup when you realize that at the end of Apocalypse was like, holy shit, this girl is the Phoenix. She's magnificent. And then he dies. And then 2 years later, they're like, who the fuck is Phoenix? That's just Jean Grey.
Well, like I said earlier, I think this film tries to have two separate origins for where the Phoenix comes from. One being the space version, one being the split personality from childhood version from the trauma nonsense. And I think you see aspects of both origins in there, and I just think that they don't necessarily clash, but they definitely muddy up exactly what Phoenix is from the start.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, but the thing is that I think they stayed true to the original what the Phoenix was in the comics, in that Jean has these huge heightened emotions when the Phoenix comes in. So the trauma from her past was actually played well into showing what the Phoenix Force can do to the mind. In that, if Jean had found out about this without like this other entity inside of her, she'd be devastated, I'm sure, but she wouldn't have gone psycho to the point of, accidentally killing, someone that she considered family, basically.
Yeah.
So I think they worked together really well. Like, I got to give props to Sophie Turner for how she played as Jean. Oh, she was amazing. I mean, you could see
it, yeah.
you could see the different emotions play. You could see how heightened everything was, which is true to the original story of the Phoenix, which I thought was great. So I think while they might have been fighting with two storylines, they made them work together, because the trauma that she went through and not remembering what had happened was a catalyst to her suddenly appearing to go dark and evil. She accidentally kills someone she cares about, and instead of feeling supported, she has people coming to want to kill her. She gets scared and wants to, tries to find someone who can understand what she's going through. And I think that's so much better than what they did with The Last Stand, where it was just like, oh, hey, I have this repressed power and energy, and I'm just going to kill every fucking person in sight.
Okay.
Because my repressed power somehow developed the personality of it. So
Okay,
Right.
because that's how psychology works.
Okay, Phoenix or Jean, but before you kill anybody, go stand in the background for like half the movie, so we don't have to worry about talking to you for a bit.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
just stand there and look
Yeah.
terrifying. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Right.
No lines.
Exactly. I mean, it's just the I'm just gonna say, so the Sophie Turner version, she played with the emotions. You saw joy, you saw sexual arousal, you saw rage and grief and everything, versus The Last Stand, it was just like, I'm just gonna stand here and look scary and burst everybody into bits and pieces.
Yeah. Jean Grey was pretty good. She had, like you said, she had the multiple emotions, which is why I thought it was a good movie, because it wasn't just like burn everything down, everything must be destroyed,
Right.
kill all these people. It was more like her trying to find herself and figure out what the hell is going on. Like, why every time I get upset, someone's dying. Like, what am I missed? Like, Charles put all these walls up in my mind. What am I not remembering? It was kind of her finding herself, which is what I liked what they did with the movie, because she was kind of finding herself, like Marvel does with some of the movies. But I feel like they just threw so much in there on top of Jean Grey become the Phoenix, where it just got boggled down and became just a headache for me to watch.
And you saw that, like, once she accepted, like, realized who she could trust, who her family was, like, she was able to control the power more, because she understood it better, and she was able to kind of take those emotions and use it to defend her family. She got a focus, and that's the Jean that I know. It's not Psycho Jean.
Yeah,
I was going to say, to put it in a perspective that people outside of the comic book realm might understand, it's kind of similar to Frozen almost, where Elsa was kind of out of control with her powers when she was emotionally unstable, but when she kind of centered herself and focused, she could do some pretty damn amazing things. So, yeah.
Yes.
And then listen, there's no way we're going up to space and they're telling me that's a flare, a solar flare, and it goes inside her body, and we come
Right?
back down to Earth, and everybody's like, "Oh no, she's cool." No, she's not okay. She's not
Right.
okay. Okay, I saw
She's
it firsthand.
breathing, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
you're fine.
I
You're
saw it
fine.
firsthand. That thing was huge, and it's gone.
Have y'all not watched a single like sci-fi movie? Like this is how a lot of horror movies take
Ryan,
place.
They lock her up.
Oh my god.
guys, because it's
Apparently,
1992. Not the best horror movies haven't come out yet. It's fine. We're good.
You telling me these bitches haven't seen Alien yet? Come on, man. Come on.
No, that you won't see that until Spider-Man talks about it in what movie was that? Infinity War.
You know that one old movie?
There was just so many stuff. I was like, they just really went back down to Earth from space they shouldn't even be at. And then she's at a party drinking, like she didn't just swallow what they think was a solar flare. Like,
But they're X-Men. They're actually public superheroes, which was something that I really appreciated seeing. Like the first half of the movie was actually like the X-Men are celebrated and they're out in the open and they're accepted by normal people because they're fucking superheroes and they have powers. But the instant one thing goes wrong, the instant like somebody kind of goes off the deep end, they're like, oh shit, every single one of them are dangerous. Let's revisit the Registration Act. I loved how quickly public perception turned on them. Like,
yeah.
how do you get blocked from the president that fast? Like, how is the president blocked? Like, hey, Mr. President. Nah, he's not here no more.
No, man. Like Xavier had a big ass head though, just thinking he could call up the president and be like, "Yo, can you stop that whole registration?"
Well, I mean,
hey, he's on right now. I'll take a message.
well, I mean, of course the president's gonna turn on him fast. I mean, he's got his Twitter fingers ready to go.
Oh my god. No, it's 1992. We're not at Twitter fingers yet, Aaron. No, sir.
I don't like that Xavier guy. His head is too big, and it makes my hands look small.
That was
Oh, that was great.
I just thought it was funny. He really tried to out the president. Like the president was too picked the phone. He was like, "Nah, this phone don't work no more. Like, don't call
this phone is getting shut off. Yeah, don't, like lose my number, motherfucker." That's what he said to him.
Lose. Got a dial button on here. You told him to lose his number. Like, ain't nothing for you to dial. You just pick up and someone answers. They lose this number.
Xavier who? No, don't know their name. Sorry.
President who? President what?
New number. Who this?
Yeah, pretty much. I laughed so hard when he tried to call the president. The president didn't pick up.
All right. So the next one I got here for you guys. Why do you think they need to rope in Magneto for this one?
Oh.
Because it's Michael Fassbender. Are you not going to use Michael Fassbender in your movie?
Right? And he's beautiful. We needed him in there.
Handsome
man, I'm not going to lie. He makes a good point.
to be fair, though, I really, really liked, like, essentially this, like, the movie's version of Genosha. Like, I really, really dug that. And cool. I like that they gave him an understandable resolution to what happened in both fucking Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. It's just like that. Like, all right, look, we understand that you're super powerful, and we understand we're coming to realize that if we leave you the fuck alone, nobody gets hurt. So we're gonna give you this big ass island, and we're not gonna fuck with you. Just be there. Everything you need will be over there. Anybody you want to personally give shelter to, that's fine. You'll be your own thing. That'll be sovereign land. But goddamn it, just please don't kill any more of us, please. Right. And Magneto and Eric was like, all right, that's fair.
I thought that was really cool. Like I liked how they did that with his character, and you saw like how he had changed. And it was actually really nice that when, you know, he did get roped back into the whole battle thing, that it wasn't him, I'm going to destroy the world, rawr. It was, I'm going to avenge the person that I cared about.
But I feel like it's his motivation every time he comes back, though, is, oh, someone close to me is dead, I guess I have to get revenge now.
Fact.
That's true. That
is his story in all these movies. Oh, someone died. Time to burn it down.
Well, I mean, but keep in mind, like, I love what they're actually doing with Magneto's storyline. So you meet him in First Class. He's all rage and fury, and Charles lets him know. He says, "Look, the point of perfect focus lies between rage and serenity, and he's been all rage, but you've got to have a balance there, and that's where you're going to get the most powerful." And I feel like they keep doing that with his stories. So that whenever he comes back in the movies, you see him starting from peace. Like when he comes up in Days of Future Past. Well, Days of Future Past, he was he was in prison, but he wasn't fucking with anybody. Really.
Right.
But Apocalypse is a better example. Like, he was living a normal life. He had a family. He wasn't even using his powers. He was just trying to live and be with the people he loved. And so he was deep in that serenity mode. And it's only when that stuff is ripped away from him that he goes back to rage. So you get to see kind of both dichotomies of his character, his personality. They do the same thing here, where after all of the fighting, he's established a peaceful community for mutants who don't want to be amongst everybody else where they're hated. They can be themselves fully and just be in a peaceful environment where they all just live and be cool. And it's only when somebody that he really loved was murdered that that rage portion of him comes out. Like, I feel like the balance between them makes him a really strong character, and they keep using these like the layout of the movies to really paint that for him.
Man, I really needed to have rewatch Apocalypse because I totally forgot his wife and kid died.
Like, he started off just like perfectly
normal,
fine. He was
working
working in a factory.
Yep, factory job.
Like he was working with a lot of metal, and he wasn't fucking with anything. The only time he actually used his powers in the factory was to save somebody from an industrial accident, and that's the only reason they figured out who he was.
Yeah.
And then his family died, and he was just like, "Well, fuck it, all of you are dead then. If you want the evil me, then let's go."
How did they die again? I completely forgot.
Shot up with arrows.
Yeah, they brought
no.
He used
he
and then in the midst of it, one of them fired by accident.
Yeah, and then he used like his daughter's or his wife's like necklace and just murdered everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he went to the factory and destroyed everyone in the factory. Closed the doors on them.
Actually, he almost killed everyone in the factory. The Apocalypse showed up and did it for him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
He's like,
but I mean, how mad would you be if you broke cover to save someone's life, and then somebody at the factory fucking tricked on you and got your family killed? How salty would you be?
Put the factory in space.
I don't want him to kill a bunch of innocent people, but damn, I understand.
Are they innocent? I mean, he done told. I done saved your life.
At least, probably one person was not innocent. I don't think the entire factory was like, "Yo, this dude's right over here." I think one bitch ass dude was like, "Yo, come get this guy. You've got that reward money, right?"
As soon as Magneto walks inside the factory, they should have pointed that dude out like it was him by himself. It was him. That's it. Just kill him. Let us live.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna jump ahead here real quick because we're actually going a little long, and I've got a lot of questions still that I haven't touched. Okay, first one here. Why was the school named after Raven, who was killed by Jean, intentional or not, and was Charles's childhood friend? And wasn't she like a mutant hero for decades? Why was she ignored for this school naming nonsense?
Honestly, I have no idea. But at the same time, I'm really like I want to applaud them for actually having the guts to kill Jennifer Lawrence.
Right?
That was very impressive. But like I said, I think she just wanted to go on to better stuff.
Yeah. I think she was done, and I think the audience felt weird having like Mystique be like such a central character in the X-Men franchise. Like I feel like her her being used in such a like a front and center capacity, like really was just the star power behind Jennifer Lawrence's name, and the producers saying, hey, we have to have like big name actors and actresses to really drive revenue, to drive people to come out and see it. So yeah, you have to use Jennifer Lawrence. Like I'm not like taking anything away from her acting, because I think she's actually a very good actress, but I think for this particular stuff, you could tell she was kind of done with it.
Yeah.
And I was like I still enjoyed her in this movie, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, she was ready to do other shit. She was ready to go.
I think, I think it's a good point. Like, why didn't they name it after her? But I think in a way they did kind of a callback to something that she said earlier in the movie, of that, the women keep saving the men. Maybe you should consider calling it X-Women. And now the school is named after a woman. So I think they kind of lived up to that comment.
Again, though, it's ironic they didn't name it after the woman who said that, though.
I know, right?
Going off that though, question for you guys. So we're in the 1990s. Previously, we've done the 80s, the 70s, and the 60s. How much has the decade jumping actually hurt this timeline in this series of X films since First Class? I feel like it's been problematic.
Yeah, I would agree with you with it.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, well, it was kind of like what I was saying before, is that you have these 4 movies, and honestly, you only have about 3 characters who carry over through the whole thing, because a bunch of the classmates got killed off in the first movie, or after the first movie, and then they do decade jumping where more people are missing, but we get the new X-Men pulled in that we know, but we don't have time to get to really know the characters, or to develop the characters, or really figure out who they are in the franchise, and it just it caused flow issues. Like I said, I totally forgot that Nightcrawler was even in the mix, because he was only in one movie before Dark Phoenix.
Well, I want to point out an issue I had with it, time jumping wise, that was brought up in a behind the scenes that I was reading about.
Yeah.
So originally they had Wolverine pegged to be in this movie, or at least they had intended to have him in here. What is it?
I'm so glad Hugh Jackman was not in this movie. I swear to God.
Yes.
But
Agreed.
I love that dude, but come on, man.
But the reason they didn't put him in here is because the creative team thought it would be too weird or creepy to have him in the same movie with a younger Jean like that. But here's the thing, though. In the flashback in 1975, she's like maybe 10 years old, and we're at 1992 where she's about 30-ish. And how's that different? How's that different from Last Stand?
I thought she was early 20s in this movie.
How could she be early 20s when she's got to be at least 10, maybe 8 at 1975? She has to be late 20s at the very least.
I'd say mid. I'd probably say mid 20s. Like, because Sophie Turner is a young woman. Like, she's an adult, but she's a young adult.
Yeah.
Like all of her acting, all of her mannerisms, it read early to mid 20s. Yes, I understand where you're coming from with like the timeline, but I don't know, man. Like she's still young. She's still like figuring her shit out. Like I like if you wanted to have Famke Janssen come back and then say she was 32, I'd be like, okay, all right, I'm with you. But not Sophie Turner. Sophie can't play a 30-year-old yet.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's go ahead and move forward. One more last question here.
I'm sorry. I wanted to say something on that.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I think the trouble with the troubles that you guys are bringing up really points to the. I don't think it points to the decade jumping as a whole, but rather the lack of kind of like pacing throughout the movies in general. I think with Matthew Vaughn's original idea, this would have worked out much, much better. Because
I completely agree.
I personally like seeing like the X-Men kind of evolve throughout the ages. Like, I thought that was a cool concept. And even seeing like Sophie Turner in Apocalypse and then seeing Sophie Turner in Dark Phoenix, you can tell she's grown up. You can tell like she's gotten older and she's like a young adult and she's really like starting to figure shit out in her life. And that was really, really cool. But you are absolutely right. The lack of like feeling that you really actually know these characters definitely shows. I feel like I got to know the younger class of X-Men in this movie, which is bad because it's the last movie, and I was really starting to get into these characters. Like you finally gave Storm like some sizable like stuff to play with, and had her looking like the goddess she is, and it's the last goddamn movie, guys. Yeah. It's the last movie.
Completely agree with you, Ryan.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a fault of the time jumping mechanic. I think it's a lack of pacing in the movies in general. I think with better pacing, that mechanic would have actually paid off so much more.
Yeah, I think they should have went that way. That was not the greatest decisions.
Yep. So last question before we move on, because I know Troy says he's got to leave here in a minute. So barring New Mutants, which may never see the light of day, we don't know. X-Men is basically done, at least in Fox's hands. What do you want Disney or Marvel to do with the franchise now? And I'm going to turn this to Troy first, since I know he's going to be heading out here very shortly.
So what would I like to see Fox head with the franchise now for X-Men? Or with Disney taking over?
Disney owns it now, so yeah, we'll go with that
one. Honestly, I'd like it to be scrapped. I thought I was excited, for X-Men. This last two movies they put out really bummed me out. I do like some of the actors. I don't see how. I would really love to see the X-Men universe and the current Marvel universe, or some type of universe, merge together. And I know they can't with Quicksilver. Quicksilver being alive.
Somebody's writing? Oh my god.
Aaron, you got some noise going on over there?
What? My air conditioning just came on.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were getting picked up by a UFO. I was like, what the fuck?
No, I'm totally fine. Sorry.
They want to get to that Phoenix Force.
It's a Phoenix Force.
She's got all them birds around her already. I mean, if there was anybody else who was going to be the Phoenix, it would be Aaron.
Totally me. Caw-caw, motherfuckers.
Caw-caw. But I'd like to see him scrap it, start over. Because I definitely don't like the fact that when I originally heard of the Phoenix movie, I thought, okay, cool. They're going to redo the horrible one they made up, and they're going to go more into Jean Grey's life instead of like how quick it is. Like, oh, she put up, oh, she had a bad childhood. Oh, you put up walls. Oh, she found out. Oh, she throws this fit. I thought it would be more in depth. Like, we'd kind of like, follow her along. And then when I found out this was going to be, her last movie, and this is it, I was kind of disappointed because I thought like, we were going to. I'd like to learn more about the more X-Men stories where it's not just there's something that happens, they take care of it. I'd like to know go more in depth, like they kind of tried to do with Wolverine, but not just solo movies, like maybe a group, but. I don't know how to really explain. I'd be okay with them scrapping it, starting over from scratch, and going more in depth with each character, kind of to say, instead of it just being like surface, like Cyclops in the last X-Men movies. You know much about him. You didn't learn about Jean Grey until the end. There's just so much that they didn't show you, like they did in X-Men First Class, where they went over, like you said earlier, Aaron said earlier, they went over pretty details with all the cast. This one was just a bare touch of the surface.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Aaron squared.
I mean, I've talked about it before and other things, so I'll be very quick with it. If you want.
Ahead.
I want to see Deadpool come back. I want him to bring a joking amount of like, oh hey, I'm here and so is the X-Men, but then instead of making X-Men movies, I honestly think a streaming series with the X-Men makes more sense because there's so many characters, so many storylines, and so many big things happening, and so many things to keep track of. You can't do it with movies every 3 or 4 years or however many times you do an X-Men movie. A streaming series is honestly the way to go for an ensemble cast like that. It just is to me.
I think I'd have to agree with you on that. Like, I think streaming would be really good. I would say what they could do is they could do streaming with the characters, you get to know them, but then they do a film and do the frickin' Phoenix correct. Now that they are in the Marvel, back in the Marvel universe with Disney, and they have space battles, and there are other universes and other, aliens and stuff like that out there, they could now finally do the damn Phoenix correctly. And it would also be kind of cool to see Phoenix and Captain Marvel go head to head. I wonder who would win in that one.
I feel like I've done that before, too. I don't remember what.
That would be a scrap. That would be a fucking scrap.
That would be awesome.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. Okay. So real fast. I definitely think, like Troy, a reboot is going to be a thing. I doubt we'll see X-Men in the mainstream, or at least like if people have actual sense over there at the MCU, they won't do another like X-Men, like a for real X-Men like product for another maybe 5 years. Honestly, just
Probably.
give the old franchise room to breathe, and kind of for people to move on before you start to introduce it. Now, like the MCU is really, really good at kind of piecemealing stuff out and giving things like gradually. So if in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie, we might hear tales of the Shi'ari Empire, maybe.
Oh,
Who knows?
Yeah.
Just like you'll drop little breadcrumbs. Like it doesn't like interrupt the current movie too much, but the real true believers will be like, oh shit, they're already laying the groundwork. Oh,
Which would be so cool. I'd love that.
that'd be
like,
awesome.
Like if there's one thing that the MCU is really good at, it's building. It's building over long terms towards an inevitable, amazing payoff.
Yes.
So if they're gonna do it, I think they would do it like that. And I think if they do that, then it's gonna be fantastic. But we probably won't see that for another 5-6 years.
Yes.
I honestly like if they ever touch the Phoenix Force again, what I would actually love, instead of it being Jean Grey, I would love that it becomes like this cosmic force that they're having to deal with, and over the course of it, they're trying to figure out how to destroy it, how to fight it, and then they end up blasting it into multiple parts, and it drifts down to various mutants, and we get Avengers versus X-Men, where it's like the 5 X-Men all imbued with the Phoenix Force, like Colossus and Magic and Cyclops, and they're all with the Phoenix Force, and they all have to deal with it. That would be really, really interesting, because it's taking a concept that people are familiar with, and it's going in an entirely different direction.
I like
think
that
if
would
they
be
want to do
awesome.
something like that,
I like that.
yeah, that would be the way to pull it, I think.
Yes, please.
But like immediately, I think the first thing we're going to see is Fantastic Four. Honestly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably.
That's just my guess.
That and Doctor Doom, hopefully.
How many
That Doctor
times?
Doom,
Ooh,
a
Doctor
real
Doom.
adaptation of Doctor Doom.
That was
Yes.
great. My
Science
favorite
and
game.
magic. Let's go.
So something we want our next segment before we do. Troy, I know you said you have to take off, right?
Yes, unfortunately. Sorry, you guys.
Not a problem. I'm gonna
We went
harass
long,
you tomorrow.
man, but thanks for coming out.
I'll
Thank
harass you
you.
tomorrow for your audio, but don't worry about it for tonight. I know you gotta get going. So
All right, no problem. I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate you guys have a good night.
you too.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. So for those who are still remaining with us, we're gonna hit the mailbag real quick. If you want to reach out to us to ask us about questions, if you want to give us your opinions on X-Men, what you want to see Marvel and Disney do with the Fox franchises now, you can reach out to us on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and you can also email us at our email, Ryan, what is that email?
That email is Xavier did nothing wrong at G. Excuse me. Damn it. Sorry. That is evacstation at gmail.com.
All right, and time for my favorite segment. It is X-Men or bullshit. Here we go. So, for those who are
I
just
think you're
joining
gonna
us,
like this, Aaron.
for those who are just joining us, X-Men or bullshit is where I list off characters and give them powers, and you got to tell me whether it is actually an X-Men character from the franchise or if it's just a character I made up straight out of my ass. Every week we've done a different theme. This last theme, it's not my favorite theme. I probably should have done this one sooner and held off the Transformers one for now, but I really like this one still. I want to give it a shot. X-Men or Ben 10 Alien?
Oh, God.
No, I didn't see Benson.
I didn't either.
Oh, I might actually pull this off then. Here we go. Are you guys ready for this?
All right, let's do it.
All right. Remember, name first, power second, and then I will actually... Shit, I don't have a way to keep track of it. There we go. Okay. First answer, or first character. Phantom X has extended external nervous system named EVA. It acts like a separate entity, but they are mind-linked and share pain when one is or the other is injured.
It has X in its name. I'm gonna guess an X-Man.
I'm going to guess X-Men too.
Alrighty. Number 2, Ripjaw has metal razor-like teeth and a muscular expandable jaw. Not expendable. That's not the right word.
A muscular, expandable jaw.
Ripjaw. The name sounds familiar.
It sounds a little cartoonish for me, so I'm gonna guess Ben 10 on that one.
Aaron, what do you think?
I think I'm going to have to go with Ben 10 too.
Alrighty. So far, no differences. We'll see if we can shake up the next one here. Devil Dinosaur is a giant reptile with super strength, durability, and an above-average intelligence. Also possesses the ability to change physical size to some extent.
I'm going to say Ben 10 for that.
I feel like I've heard Devil Dinosaur in the course of Marvel, so I'm gonna guess Marvel on that one actually.
Alrighty. Next up, Freak Show, able to transform into a variety of monstrous forms, each with more unique abilities and personalities of their own.
I think that's X-Men.
I'm gonna guess Ben 10 on that one actually.
Alright,
Yeah.
so we got a couple where you guys are flip-flopped. I got 2 more left here. Wildvine. Various parts of his body can become plant-like. Such as hair becoming vines or skin taking on a bark-like form. Like bark skin.
That's interesting.
I'm gonna go Ben 10 on that one.
I'll say Ben 10 as well.
Alrighty. Final one here. Last character we're going to ever do on X-Men or bullshit. It's going to be sad. Chromastone can generate stone skin which absorbs heat and sunlight and can cast it out as energy projectiles.
I feel like I've heard an X-Men one named something like that, so I'm going to say X-Men.
Alrighty. Ryan?
Chromastone. It's close to chromosome, which is actually a really cool genetic pun. And I'm gonna guess X-Men on that one too. That actually sounds like an X-Men mutant.
Alright, going through the list. Are you 2 ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Number 1, Phantom X is indeed an X-Man.
Ha
Both of you guys got that one right. Next up, I've got Ripjaw, and you both caught me on that one. That is a Ben 10 alien, a big old fish monster. So you guys are tied 2-2. Next up, Devil Dinosaur is where you guys start to switch up a little bit. And Ryan gets the point. That is actually from Marvel. It is an X-Men character. Well,
Seriously?
technically an X-Men character. Yep.
Oh my god.
Next up
Weird.
is Freak Show. Ryan, you guessed a Ben 10 alien. You know what? Aaron gets the point. That actually is an X-Man.
What?
Yep.
I remember that name.
Freak Show is actually an X-Man. I was hoping to throw anyone off who knew about Ben 10 slightly, because there is a character called Ghost Freak, and I'm like, that might throw someone off. Next up is Wildvine. You guys call me another bullshit.
Okay, Ben 10? Okay.
Yep. And the last one, Chromastone. I got you both. That is also a Ben 10 alien.
Damn.
Oh man, like see, you got me with the scientific name. I thought that might have been actually a play on it.
So I'm tallying them
Same.
up here real quick. So Aaron's got 1, 2, 3,
think we're tied.
4, and then Ryan's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Damn, the guys got tied.
Oh,
The 1 week I didn't have any extra for a tiebreaker. Let me go back to an old one real quick, see if I have any that we didn't use for tiebreakers. 'Cause I might have
crap.
one. I might have one.
We're just that good, Ryan. We're just that good.
we are.
Let's see. I think Apocalypse might have had one. Scrolling down. It's loading real quick. Going a little slow. Ryan, did I ever do Darkwing when it was just you and Robbie?
Darkwing.
Does it sound familiar at all?
Like Darkwing Duck?
Just the name Darkwing. Does that sound familiar at all to you?
It only sounds familiar in terms of Darkwing Duck.
All right, so Darkwing is our tiebreaker. The description has a pair of bat-like wings, granting him flight. He also has a pair of claws and a body that can blend into darkness.
I'm gonna call bullshit on that.
Yeah, but the tiebreaker, right? I can't guess the same thing as her.
True.
Oh, but it feels like bullshit to me. Fuck it. Nope. To end the tiebreaker, I'm gonna guess the next man.
The winner of this last episode of X-Men or Bullshit goes to Aaron.
Woo!
Damn, I knew it. I felt it in my heart of hearts. I'm like, come on, man. That's not real.
All right. Thank you for participating,
I feel
both
like
of you.
you should start singing the Darkwing Duck theme song.
Let's get dangerous, folks. Last segment here is a quick wrap up because we're going way longer than I thought we were going to for this movie. I really thought we were going to be shorter than this.
It was it was for people, man.
I know.
We have feelings about these movies.
It's pretty
final
sad.
segment.
We're almost going as long as the movie.
Almost, maybe longer. Final segment is just reviewing the film, ranking it from between platinum to shit and all the colors in between. Aaron, have you actually ranked the film with this scale before?
No, I haven't, but I know you had one for the Marvel.
Yeah, we compared
I just
them.
can't remember what they all were.
Yeah, we compared them. Hang on, let me see if I can get you the link here.
That would be helpful.
Let's see. So here is.
That way I can adequately rate
So here's
it.
the Patreon post we put up that explains our ranking system, but I'll give a brief summary here for those who are just joining us. So basically, platinum rankings is perfect. Shit ranking is obviously the worst thing possible, and we kind of break down like how each of them go. So perfect. So we have like shit being like the worst. It's offensive. It's bad, and then everything steps up, kind of like not as bad. Bronze is kind of like our most middle tier, where it's like it's kind of inoffensive. It's not very exciting, but it's also not horrible either. So kind of like that. So to demonstrate, I guess Ryan and I can go first real quick. Ryan,
Yeah.
On our scale, where would you rank this?
So for this one, I think this movie is nowhere near as bad as people are making it out to be.
It's not.
I think that all of the sum of its parts kind of make it kind of middle of the road, but it feels much better when you compare it to its predecessor. It's like it feels good when you're watching the movie, but it's also really, really sad because the bar is set amazingly low from Apocalypse.
Right.
In all honesty, I would give this a bronze. I think it's definitely come a miles away from Apocalypse, which I'm pretty sure we both either said dirt or shit.
I was at dirt. Yeah, I was at dirt.
I'm pretty sure we both ranked Apocalypse pretty damn low. It's definitely come a ways from that. I think it earns a lot of points with me for having the courage to take it in the direction that they did. I think notable portrayals of characters really like pick the movie up. And I think the action was fantastic. Like, honestly, seeing young Nightcrawler really finally snap and just start murdering people was a highlight for me personally.
That was awesome.
Because young Kurt Wagner finally being like, you know what, fuck these people, was fantastic. But I think all of that elevates it to just like to just above normal status. It was great for the series, but when you look at the movie as a whole, I think it was pretty good. So yeah, I'd give it a bronze.
So I'm going to go, and my answer's going to waffle a little bit here because I don't remember what I ranked Last Stand at. I want to say it was bronze. It might have been stone. I cannot remember it all. And I don't want to take the minute here to look it up while we're in the middle of this because I know we're running long. So I'm going to say whatever I ranked that movie at, this movie's a rank above it. So if I ranked Last Stand at bronze, it's going to be a silver here. And if it ranked it at stone, it's going to be a bronze here. That's going to be how I roll for this one because, well, no, it takes what Phoenix did in that movie and actually makes a good Phoenix movie. I think everything that Last Stand does outside of Phoenix is fine, but I think this movie it does the Phoenix story justice, which is I think what they marketed that film up to be, and it kind of didn't live up to it. It's good on other merits, sure, but as a Phoenix story, this one is better, without question.
I 100% agree with that. I feel like I gave Last Stand a bronze because I thought it was the best adaptation of a Phoenix story that they could come up with at the time. And Dark Phoenix, being fucking 10 years removed, had better writers and had a gutsier studio. They were like, you know what, fuck it, let's go balls to the wall and actually put her in space. So yeah, I definitely think that they stepped up their game from Last Stand. I don't think it degrades Last Stand by its existence.
No.
I feel like time was definitely a factor for both of them. But yes, I definitely think that Dark Phoenix is a much better Phoenix adaptation than The Last Stand.
And that leaves it to Aaron, since you've kind of seen how this works now. Where do you want to put this one out?
Yeah. Well, first, I'm actually going to do my own rating of Last Stand, and I'm just going to flat out say it was shit. So, yes.
No
it
mercy.
was shit. But, no mercy. I spit on it. Dark Phoenix, I would have to say I would go with bronze. It wasn't the best movie, but it kept my attention. I appreciated the attempt that they made at the Phoenix Saga itself. And what really made me pleased was seeing the character development between, seeing the change of Charles from being his arrogant self to actually realizing, man, I done fucked up. Seeing
He does that a lot.
Sophie Turner as the Phoenix, yeah, he does. Seeing Sophie Turner, how she did the Phoenix, where you really saw the different type of emotions, making it that she wasn't inherently a bad person. The Phoenix was just screwing with her, versus what they did in the Last Stand. And also, I loved what they did with the call-outs. So having it set in 1992 with the old X-Men, the X-Men show, and the relaunching of the comics. I also believe, I would have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure they included Dazzler.
Yep, she was in there.
Yeah, they did.
Film. Yeah,
they really did. I was
they
like,
had
hey!
Dazzler, and I was like, you know what? That is a really good nod. I really appreciate that. That was great. And it wasn't. I don't think it was a bad movie. It was just. I think I'm still processing it to some degree. I was left a bit disappointed because you didn't have the big Fire Phoenix type thing, except at the end with the explosion. But it was a decent movie. I thought I would watch it again, and I'm sure I'd enjoy it again. So I'll go with bronze. I'd also just like to point out that I think it's hilarious that both the two films before, like Last Stand and Dark Phoenix, when they were trying to hint, hey, we're going to go the Phoenix route, you got to see the Firebird on both genes in both films, and then they were just like, oh, nope, gonna go a completely different route, not the Firebird.
Yep.
So I thought that was really funny. But
Gotta love that
yeah,
consistency.
Last Stand is shit, and right, Last Stand is shit, and Dark Phoenix is bronze.
I respect your opinion, but I cannot agree that it's shit just because Kelsey Grammer's in it and he's a magician with acting. He's my favorite.
He is a magician, but I'm still gonna call it shit.
I know.
I really want to hear. I really want you to listen to our Last Stand podcast and think about it, because while it was definitely problematic, I thought that they really raised some interesting points of contention. They went and tackled some big things. They just failed in actually giving those big points of contention an endpoint. They didn't land on anything. They were just who knows?
Right.
Should mutants be treated like a disease and cured for the people that can't control their powers, or should they be accepting and really actually own their shit and have it be a complete part of their identity?
We are the cure.
You know what? I completely forgot about that part of the movie. It's definitely fucking shit. I totally forgot about that. I was just mad enough with the Phoenix stuff. I spit on it.
Aaron, you should listen to our Justice League podcast because it's golden. But then, after that, next week X-Men podcasts come out, you should listen to each one of them. I think all our X-Men podcasts are some of the best things we've done. I'm not even exaggerating. I think I had a lot of fun with all of them. Well, that is all for X-Men. I guess I should probably mention this season has been called the Disneymation, as everything has been slowly been converting to Disney. So with that, we bid a fond farewell to the X-Men Fox franchise, and we may revisit it here again with Wolverine and the Deadpool movies. We did skip them. We might get back to it at some point. Those might be fun. But next week...
Especially the Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
Logan. I could talk for hours on Logan.
But next week, we begin our Rage in the Cage, 5 films of Nicolas Cage, already recorded, already set to go. Those will be going live for you guys next week. And then after that, we finally kick off our new holiday season with some good Halloween films. Let's just start with that and go from there. So thank you for joining us this week. Aaron, is there anywhere anyone can find you on the internet if they wanted to find you?
Yes. You can find me on my website at aaroncasey.org, or you could also find me on Amazon at amazon.com/author/aaroncaseyauthor. I have one book out right now, and the sequel will be out in December 2019.
Cool.
Yay!
Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, here we go. Here's the
But for real though, an evacstation D&D game.
And a live tour?
I'm 100% down for the live game. Come on. I have 33 characters all pulled up, man. Y'all can pick. And we'll just have a party.
33.
Hey, I've got 12 different campaign ideas I want to run, so if you want me to hear the pitches, I'll pitch them to you. I got one that's like a combination supernatural Ghostbusters thing, where you just go around fighting ghosts.
Ooh,
Oh my
I
gosh.
have a build for that.
Wow.
I'm interested in the live tour 2020. That's what I'm interested in. I could sell some books.
Hey, that'd be great. Good idea. I
You
won't
can
do
tour
that.
Erin's new house, and then at the end of it, it'll just be Bird Erin with her books, and like, hey, come buy this book.
Come buy the books, I need money.